My wife's insane behavior and how it changed us. Hello everyone. I never thought I'd get to this point, to the point of reaching out to strangers on the internet for advice, but here we are. My wife and I have been married for 8 years, but have been together for 10 years. We met in college and were each other's first and only love. Because of it, I honestly felt we had a one-of-a-kind and wonderful connection, but it turns out that was just me. My wife started working at a new firm a while back. At first, she struggled to fit in since she's always been quiet, but with my support, she became friends with a group of gals, some of whom were single, divorced, or dating but not married. I was delighted she made friends at first, but then she began going out for drinks, partying, or whatever her buddies had planned. I grew worried about her shift in behavior and attempted to speak to her about it, but I didn't want to limit her in any way since it was affecting our connection in the bedroom. My wife wasn't the type to initiate intimacy, but with her constant going out, she was either too exhausted or wasn't in the mood. At some time, her firm hired a new boss whom my wife and her friends admired. She started mentioning him in passing, but it came to the point where she was pointing out how he handled specific difficulties that didn't appear to be business-related. I questioned her about her relationship with this guy, and she dismissed my worries. She even asked whether I regretted not having more experience with women, to which I replied that she was all I ever needed. I swear I saw a flicker of grief in her eyes for a split second, but she swiftly changed the topic. When she mentioned open marriages as a method to spice up our marriage, I was taken aback since my wife was never this sort of person and, to be honest, was not that liberal. I first rejected and questioned if this had anything to do with the new boss, to which she denied, but said that she felt missed out, but didn't want to lose me, so this was a safer alternative. I cautioned her that she was playing with fire, and she consented grudgingly and naively. So we made certain restrictions, mostly not to sleep with another person in our house for a year, and my wife goes on dates, has one-night stands, and then, as if I didn't see it coming, is in some type of connection with that manager. I, on the other hand, had a few dates but no one-night stands since it seemed weird to me, and my wife would ask if I was okay but wouldn't modify her behavior. At some time, I realized that the love I had for her, the pure magical innocence of marriage, had faded, and it was hurting me on the inside. I ended myself out on a date with an incredible lady who had moved here from South Korea. Conversation was easy. She had the wit of a lightning-quick wipe joke and a smile that made one forget oneself. This, of course, led to additional dates until we were intimate. I honestly had never experienced like I had with this lady. I had no idea a woman could be so giving and make one feel so wanted. My wife thought it was charming at first, but as the months passed, she started to doubt my connection with my lover. I quickly pointed out that this was her idea and she, too, was in a relationship with the manager I was worried about. She was deafeningly quiet, as if she wanted to say something but couldn't. She started coming home early to surprise me with supper and have the house extra clean, so she started dropping me lunch at my workplace and began to instigate intimacy in the bedroom. Honestly, if it hadn't been for her opening up our marriage, which I am also to fault for consenting to, I would have been ecstatic. I seldom gave in to her advances, and when I did, it was just to get it over with. Something in me died for my wife, and I could tell she felt it as well. I asked what had caused this shift in her, what was different, and the answer I received was that she wanted to show me that she loves me and is content with me. I didn't want to, but I broke out laughing when I inquired about her little circle of pals, her manager's boyfriend, or her one night. She didn't answer that day, instead crying herself to sleep. I get home the following day to find her waiting for me. She informed me she wants to end the marriage, that the entire thing was a terrible mistake, that she regrets everything, and that she wants us to be the focus of our relationship once again. I told her to be honest with me and tell me what sparked all of this in the first place, and wouldn't you know it, it was her group of friends who planted the idea due to their numerous exploits. And when her manager came around, he surprisingly supported that lifestyle and encouraged my wife to live free. According to reports, it began as an emotional affair but only became after the marriage was annulled. Wow, like that makes it better. She compared it to being intoxicated behind the wheel of a speedy automobile. It was exhilarating and intoxicating, but the cost of her choice has grown too much for her to bear. She realizes now that she never needed a comparison, that what we had was genuinely unique and precious, but she still feels as if she killed our marriage and any prospect of a life together. I told her I may never be able to view her as my wife again, which caused her to cry in front of me. I just held her in silence as she wept till she fell asleep. My arms were resting on the sofa. She has now quit her job and cut contact with all of her friends and her boss, and she has even told me that she is prepared to spend the rest of her life making amends to me and working her fingers to the bone in order to be considered a wife by me, but I haven't stopped communication with my lover. My partner, quite honestly, makes me feel like a man, as if I can take on the world in a way that my wife hasn't in a long time. The truth is that I'm at a loss for what to do in this case. If at all possible, I would want to reclaim the unique sensation, but my boyfriend practically rescued me when I was at my lowest. Please assist me. I forgot to mention that we have our first marital therapy appointment in a few hours. I'm not sure how that will go. Story 2. Me 29 male, with my wife 25 female, 5 years together. 3 years married. She just called me to tell me she cheated on me Saturday night while out of town on work. Hello, my wife contacted me approximately 3 hours ago and confessed to me that she had cheated on me on Saturday. Let me offer you some context. My wife has some undiagnosed mental concerns. Panic attacks, anxiety, and sadness are the most common symptoms, mostly just self-hatred. She had a few breakdowns. I've always been there for her and we've always made it through. She got the same job as me a few months ago and relocated to a distant area for training, which typically lasts 4 months. She is just 2 weeks away from completing training and returning home as of this weekend. She messaged me on Friday, saying she was having a horrible mental weekend and needed to cut off everything for the weekend. She canceled her Facebook account, and we went from constantly chatting to rarely texting at all, with just brief answers. It's not unusual for her to have terrible days, but I've never seen her be this horrible. She told me she wanted to lock herself in her room and not go to be alone. I attempted to respect her choice, but I did send her a number of images of our animals to try to cheer her up. We have 4 cats and 2 dogs. We were conversing every now and then on Saturday, but it wasn't really a discussion. It was largely just a line or two here and there every couple of hours. In the evening, I received a Snapchat from her showing her in the hallway with several of her training mates, both male and female, drinking together. I was disappointed that she was feeling good enough to go out, or more accurately, stay in with friends but not well enough to speak to me. Even though we've had disagreements in the past, I don't think we've ever stopped communicating like this. I didn't speak to her for the most of Saturday night. Sunday was much the same, with scarcely any chatting, and that was the end of it. I had a horrible pit in my stomach all day Sunday, dreading the worst. I contacted her after her courses and asked if everything was well, to which she replied that everything was fine and that she loved me. Then, an hour later, she contacted me back to inform me that she had gotten very intoxicated on Saturday night and slept with one of her classmates. She stated that they had both been very inebriated, that numerous of their classmates were vomiting as a result of their excessive drinking, and that this is how she ended up in his room that night. She further stated that after waking up, she went to another of her female friends' rooms and cried until 3 a.m. I believe I have uncovered 2 problems linked to this issue. Drinking. I've told her previously that I believe she drinks too much and that she needs to take a break. She told me a few times previously that she agreed with me, but it never truly went away. Anxiety/self-hate related mental disorders include the sense of being rejected for the time being. I've informed her that 1. She has to quit drinking completely. 2. She needs to receive real therapy for her mental disorders, and 3. We need to go to couples counseling whenever she returns. I feel awful pushing her to visit a therapist, since I believe that seeing a therapist only helps if you want it to work, but I'm at a loss for what else to do. I don't feel awful telling her she can't drink anymore. I believe in love languages. I used to say that my love language was via tangible objects. Hugs, kisses, gifts, and acts have always been her love language. Doing housework, for example. Basically, things that don't cost money. I am not flawless, and I make no pretense of being such. I'm really lazy, so most of the time I don't do housework on time, or at all, and I tend to forget to do things unless they're really important to me. She despises spending money and has always had a very low desire. I get the impression that she does not comprehend my language, and I do not speak her language. Also, the fact that she has always had a low drive has never been a problem for me. I realize that isn't the main thing in the relationship, but the fact that she went and had with another person despite this just makes it seem a million times worse. I'm essentially seeking for guidance or assistance, and ranting to strangers on the internet since I can't really speak about it with any of my friends or relatives. I don't want them to see her through tinted glasses if we do end up working things out. I'm not here to portray her as the devil. She is a wonderful lady who has done something so heinous to me that I am at a loss for words